Friday afternoon on the All Sweet podcast. I wasn't planning to record today. I've already done my recording for this week. I wasn't going to. I did record a guest episode with somebody. This is the thing. I like to have full control of things, but sometimes you need to bring in camera people or things, and I have a studio I really like working with, but man, it shows that tech isn't even friends with the experts half the time. Something happened, some cable, I don't know, but basically said episode, long story short, said episode, which I was hoping to upload 2 days ago, will not be uploaded for a few days. So what do you get? You get me talking at you, yelling at you on your Friday or whatever day you're listening. It's Friday right now. Worst time of the week to upload something. You know what? Let's upload a podcast at Friday 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. We'll see how long it takes, because people are really going to listen to it at that time. Who's going to listen to this when I upload it? And it's shit, because that's how Spotify is. It's like it punishes you. I was on a really good streak of, I don't know, what's the word, discoverability. My podcast was getting pushed to thousands among thousands of people. It was doing really well. I decided to take a 2-week break. Yes, Spotify impressions. I decided to take a 2-week break just to recoup with life and, you know, have a bit of holiday at the end of the year, process a few things. And Spotify's punished me because my traffic and impressions have decreased drastically. I don't know if it's to do with, maybe my episodes are shit now. I don't know. And no one's listening. But all I know is it's like I've been shadow banned or something. I don't know. Anyway, so to prevent that from happening further, I'm doing a very rushed episode today. What's been happening? I'm not prepared for this. Usually I'm prepared. I have a plan. I've got no plans. I've got nothing. I've got no episode. But I'm here. I'm talking to you. What do I do? What's been on in the last week? Went for food in Oakley. Went to St Kilda Blues Festival. That was good. I went to St Kilda Blues Festival. Bumped into some musicians that I know. It's funny because I went to the Blues Festival to catch up with a comedian I know, but ended up meeting up with some musicians I know, like on the way to the toilet. Their green room was like the hallway to the toilet. Classic when the gig isn't a typical gig venue. Your green room is like a toilet cubicle, the broom cupboard. However, in saying that, I once played Corner Hotel, 10 years ago, opening for a very esteemed female vocalist who was renowned in the 70s and 80s, one of the pioneers of girl bands. You know, the stocks behind Cherries went high. Hopefully that pieces things together who I'm talking about. Quite a grumpy old woman. But anyhow, she's not going to hear this. No one's going to tell her. Actually, one of the guys in her band does listen to this. Sorry, mate. Don't pass it on to her. We know what kind of lady she gets. When we opened for her, my dressing room or our dressing room was in fact the broom cupboard. And that was at a proper venue. That was at Corner Hotel. It's like, what? You couldn't give me a meter by meter cubic space somewhere for us to put our stuff? Imagine having a whole dressing room and then nominating the broom cupboard for the support band. That's pretty, for 2 support bands actually. And I understand her wanting a whole dressing room, but it wasn't even like a dressing room that you get changed in. No, they'll be the broom cupboard. They'll be right. What's the point of this? That's it. I was talking about venues. So I was on the way to the bathroom, which happened to also be the green room for the band that was performing. So bumped into them. Funny enough, some of the members of this band, I think I've mentioned on this podcast how I very briefly was in a cover band last year and I left because I didn't really like how one of the members was chatting to me. The other members in this band were totally fine, but you know that degree of awkwardness where like, how does everyone else in this context feel about me? How do I feel about them? There was that moment when we saw each other where I could tell they had it's Jacinta. We haven't seen her since last year. Does she also think that we're fuckwits? Is it good? And then I have that thing of, do they think I'm a fuckwit? You know when you mutually don't know where you stand with someone, even though you haven't fallen out with each other, but the scenario around in which you both coexisted had a degree of shit on it. That's how it felt. It felt like someone in the room had stepped on a turd and there was a smell around, but no one could pinpoint whose smell it was. That's what the vibe was. And then eventually it's like, well, I don't have shit on my shoe, so I'm not the stinky one. And then it's like, well, I don't think you guys have shit on your shoes either, so you guys aren't the stinky ones. We can hang. We're all fine. It's all good. There's no smells around here. This is a bizarre analogy, but it works. So we all caught up. That was nice. One of them messaged me after to be like, how's things been? What are you up to? I haven't replied because my replying to things just is very low on my list of priorities. I have about 2 or 3, it used to be a lot more, but you know, friends gain relationships and then don't check their messages anymore. But I have about maybe 2 core people, one of them being my mum, but 2 core people that I speak to daily, where we just send each other stacks of messages just throughout the day. Those people are on my priority list. Then I have like my second lot of people. And then there's some where I just see the message and you go through this weird thing of, oh, I need to reply to this, but I want to reply to it when I feel like I'll be immersed into this conversation. The problem is that level of immersion just never happens, so you just never reply. So in short, I should probably reply to that person soon. But back to what I was saying, my week. So I went to Oakley, went to St Kilda Blues Festival, caught up with people. That was great. Gave some bad relationship advice, probably received some bad relationship advice, even though I haven't entertained the idea of a relationship in a very long time. But it's never what's the word I'm looking for? It's never the wrong time to just think about where you stand on those things. I went to Cherry Bar on the Saturday, but why did I go to Cherry Bar? What did I have on? Oh, that's it. I went to a birthday party where I knew no one there except the birthday girl's boyfriend. That's a good look, isn't it? Going to a birthday party where you know no one except the birthday girl's boyfriend. And then it's even awkward for him because it's like he's invited you, even though you kind of know the missus. I've met her like once. You go because I was running late because I'd work earlier. I go to this birthday because it's sort of the right thing to do. I felt like, they invited me. I should at least go show face because they thought of me to be worthy of an invite. And it's that thing of I arrive, but like obviously the one person I know is the girl's boyfriend. He's not going to be spending his night with me. He's going to be spending his night with his girlfriend. Rightfully so. She's the birthday girl and she's his partner. But then I'm just there. Have you ever been at an event and you're just like, I'm just here and my presence here isn't adding anything? And I could tell when I arrived, people were like, who the fuck is this? And there was a degree, because this is a comedy friend of mine, a few of the people at this birthday when I arrived, they was like, is she with us? Is she a fan of yours? Is she with us? I didn't take too well to the fan comments. I don't know if it's an ego thing in me, but I will never be a fan of anyone. I don't want fans of me and I don't want to be a fan of someone else. I just want to exist on a consistently neutral plane, and so be it. But I was at this party, left like an hour in to catch up with my friend Leon. Leon Todd, the guitarist, very good guitarist. Some of you may be familiar with him. Some of you might not be. If you're not, well, go check him out. If you're not into music, then get into music. What's wrong with you? Get a personality, you absolute dork. Have you met those people who just are like, I'm not much into music. What are you into then? I'm into, exercise and fitness. I didn't realize like your own health was something that you could be into. Like imagine existing your personality, just making the whole concept of staying alive without a potential ailment. That's your whole personality. You have no other depth to you. It's like people who put interests, gym. Cool, dude. Sounds good. My interests, staying hydrated is basically an interest now. If it wasn't, staying hydrated, you know what it is? Staying hydrated is a personality trait. Everyone with their Frank Green bottles. Everyone's got these little drink bottles with notes to remind them to drink water. How did people exist before this invention? Like, because I would just drink water when I'm thirsty, which just isn't often. Or I would have a glass of water with every meal. Man, I'm pretty parched right now as I'm talking, I'll tell you that much. But now everyone's got like these giant drink bottles, tubs. They're carrying around tubs with them with little manifestations and reminders to drink water. Staying hydrated and going to the gym are personalities, which just shows me people are so boring. And maybe people have become increasingly boring. They have turned mundane activity into an interest. Ice baths. Cool. What are you doing? Soaking yourself. That's an interest now. Saunas. Congratulations, babe. You've sat in a hot room and sustained the feeling of lightheadedness for 10 to 20 minutes, half an hour. I don't know how long people sauna for. But these things can't be interest. These are just part of basic life. Food, I'll let food slide because you can get experimental with food and try different cuisines from different cultures and different ingredients. And food I'll let slide. Food is the one basic human need that I will allow people to have as an interest, because at bare minimum, you can have bare minimum food. What do I mean by bare minimum food? I mean like as long as you have your basic food, you'll survive, you'll be fine. But then you can enhance that experience by, add some vegeta to your meal. Add some sort of condiment or some Wagyu beef or something, and then you've got something where it's like, all right, food's an interest of mine. I like to experiment. What are you experimenting with what you decided to have a bath slightly colder than the normal? You can't even sustain sitting in it for more than 20 seconds or however long you have to sit there. Point here is people's interests are so boring. Listen to music. Find something that you actually like. Anyway, so I caught up with Leon. I brought it back. Caught up with him. Very good hang. Very nice. Some people you just click with and it's easy. It does also help, same background, nationality-wise, same music. We're just the same. It's easy. And I'm going on to the circus thing that he's just come off of, so we'll talk about that a bit. Then I was like, all right, got to show face back at this birthday. Back I go. Again, was my presence really needed there? And it was quite the conundrum because it was, I know you probably listen and be like, oh, if this is the conundrum that you have in your life, Jacinta, be happy they're the only problems you have. I can assure you they're not the only problems I have. However, that was the only problem that was screaming out to me for this week. For this last minute episode, which I was hoping not to record, but so far pretty fun, I'll be honest. So I was there. I entertained. We just have to entertain the process. It's like I'm at this party. These people don't care if I'm here. But if I left, they would care. It would be like, oh, how rude of her. She was only there for an hour. How, you know what, Jacinta, why bother coming then? How despicable. And then if I took the decision to not go, oh, how rude of her. You know, she didn't even show up. So I think I played it well. I had a nice time, I'll be honest though. Sometimes I think about my own birthday. I don't know who I'd invite. I've got a birthday coming up, in 2 months' time? Dreading it, dreading the day. I hate having to organise birthday things because I have very diverse friendship groups. I like R&B music. I like metal music. I like rock. I like a lot of different things. God forbid my friends are happy with a night that will cross over between venues. So clubs just aren't for me. I don't know, they play radio music and it's like with normal people. Yeah, I only go to like rock venues. Then like the opposite of that is, oh, I'm not into rock music. Oh, do you like Yeah, I like AC/DC. Oh, what about Guns N' Roses? Yeah, I like Sweet Child of Mine, but I'm not into rock music. Just try different experience for once in your life. Oh my God, everyone's so fucking lame. Grow up. I think I need to grow up by how much I'm whinging today. Hey, shit. All right, so I did a question, a Q&A to give me inspiration for today's episode. And I just opened this one, being like, hang shit on the local music scene. Oh my gosh, Hannah Lind. Lovely, lovely chick. Very pretty chick. Hang shit on the local music scene. That will be a whole episode on its own. Hang shit on the local music scene. That is a whole episode on its own. Where can I go with this? Melbourne's music scene has evolved a lot in the last few years. I would say there was a period of time where every band and musician in Melbourne was 80s and Motley Crue. Every guy was either a version of Nikki Sixx, Duff McKagan, or Slash. Those were the three characters that existed in the Melbourne music scene. It was either dudes with like curly brown hair or dyed black, dead straight hair. Everyone, of course, had like the padlock keychain around their neck. Like, what secrets are you hiding, babe? Where's the key to this padlock? All right, that's pretty funny. At some point, all these men in their 20s in the last like 10 years who would wear the padlock necklace made a choice where they said, you know what, the padlock necklace is no more. And they've had to find the little key to unlock it or go around searching for bolt cutters. What an emotional moment that would be. That moment where you decide, I need to leave my cliche 80s past behind. Now every guy in Melbourne in the music scene is just like an AC/DC impersonator or status quo. Everyone's in like double denim, natural hair, slight beard, 4-chord power chords, flares, an X-toed cowboy boot. Everyone's just the same bloke. It's pretty funny. There you go, Hannah. Hope that I could go on too long about the music scene. Maybe. So I'm actually thinking about next year for Melbourne Comedy Festival doing a show purely about the music scene and about music and like 80s music, cliche things from bands that exist now and before, things I've seen at gigs. If anyone listening to this, could you let me know if that sounds like a good idea? Because I have a vision here and I think it would be a pretty good show. Like a stand-up show just about all that stuff. Who else? What other questions? Difference between a bad gig in a band versus a bad gig in comedy, I assume, because this person is a comedian who asked me. So a bad gig musically, I would say you've forgotten how the songs go. A member of the band has forgotten how the songs go. Someone's forgotten the words. You're feeling sick. The audience is a bit flat. You've arrived to a gig thinking it's going to be a bigger gig than it is. and then it's an absolute dud. Key examples of this are often like local festival gigs, community gigs in parks where they've set up a stage and you think, oh, you know, we're going to be playing so-and-so festival or so-and-so community thing. And then you get there and it's always like, oh, we don't have an amp. We've only got one mic stand. We don't have a full drum kit. Yeah, the sound engineer's gone missing. So could you get like your merch chick to also do the sound? You go there because you see they sell it to you with a cool looking stage until you actually get there and it's just dreadful. I'd also say a bad music gig is when there's just no vibe. The audience doesn't. I've done a gig before where I've felt like the audience has hated us, and that's universal between music and comedy. We just get up there, you're like, man, this audience does not like us. Like I remember one of my bands was more of a rock band and we ended up playing at a punk gig. And we always did lean on the side of being a bit punk rock, but there's punk rock and punk, like true punks, piss on the floor, mohawk to the ceiling kind of punks. And we weren't that. And at this gig, there wasn't even a stage. We were playing on a carpet. And I remember just like, I can't wait for this to be over. I can tell they're not enjoying this. And I've had the same happen with comedy gigs where I can tell that they've picked up a vibe of me and gone, this ain't our kind of chick. It often happens for me in the inner north of Melbourne, like Brunswick, Collingwood, Fitzroy. There's something about me that just does not resonate. I don't resonate with them, they don't resonate with me, and it just doesn't land as well as the jokes might land elsewhere. And it sucks because those gigs are often like open mic rooms where I perform with a lot of other open micers who maybe some of them I've done better gigs than. I know it sounds arrogant, but facts are facts. Some of them I've gotten better gigs than a few times. And then what happens is they see me in that room and I fucking bomb. And then they're like, well, I don't know how she got that gig or how she got that gig. I got those gigs because people recognize that the jokes are funny but might not have worked for that audience. So yeah, bad comedy gigs is just when you don't connect with a particular audience. Again, the analogy I like to use for it is you're a metal band performing at a blues festival or a jazz festival and that audience is like, why is this here? We don't want to see this. So those kind of comedy gigs and those kind of music gigs, I guess. So not having the correct audience, having a bigger expectation of what you think the gig's going to be. And that's universal between comedy and music, going into it thinking that it's going to be some extraordinary gig. There's going to be this amount of people there and this person from this label is going to be there, this person from this band or this big comedian or this booker. And then you get there and none of these people are there and it's not fitting with what you built it up to be in your head. So, yeah, there's similarities between the two. All right, 23 minutes, that's not bad. What's another question that we've got here? People who fart in bars. I hate this because firstly, who wants to be in... Bars stink as it is. Bars after a certain night just smell. And after a certain time, bars just stink. And it's a mix, or maybe it's the bars that I go to, I don't know, but it's a mix of like sweat, weed, cigarettes, alcohol breath, vomit breath. Some people who can't hold their alcohol, so may have like, you know, had a bit of a moment with the toilet from either holes and maybe the toilet paper hasn't been restocked. So whatever came out of either hole is now, you know, it's a remnant that's going to be sticking with them for the next few hours and then the rest of the venue has to smell it. A lot of the bars and stuff, they're also not very well ventilated because, you know, sound restrictions. So it's not like everyone can be like, whoo, it stinks here, let's crack a window. Nah, you're in it for the long haul. Once you've paid your entry, You're committing to whatever smell is going on, and hopefully you're too drunk to realize what smell is going on. But I have had some conversations with people. I was like, man, you stink like shit. And it's not like my analogy earlier of like, who's got the shit on the shoe that's causing the smell that all of us are sus about. That's an analogy. No one actually has shit on their shoe. But on certain nights out, I'm like, you know what? Someone's got a bit of shit somewhere and I can smell it. And then the worst thing about that is like, I don't know, for me, I become hyper aware of that. And I'm like, well, is it me? Surely it's not. Surely out of everyone here, I'm the least like the girl who's doused herself in perfume and is most likely sober. Surely I'm not the one to be producing this smell, but because I like to operate as part of society, I do get concerned that, well, it could be me. I'm sure it isn't, but it sure could be. And if only more people had that thought, I think bars would stink a lot less. I remember once a guy farted on me at a gig. That was pleasant. Oh my gosh. I was at Faster Pussycat. Big surprise, out of all the bands I went to see, I saw Faster Pussycat and I got farted on at that gig. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it happened. I was there very dressed up because I'm a person who likes to, look a bit presentable. This is what I don't get about rock fans. It's like you're into rock and they either go too far the other way into looking of having to commit that they're into rock, like they overdo it. They got like 50,000 scarves around their neck and around their waist, or they take it too far the other direction. It's like they've got one stale Motorhead shirt and a pair of stained jeans, and that's about it. Like the 501s, the button fly. Whereas I kind of like to dress up, and I was at this gig, small gap in front of me, and this guy, I'm sure I've spoken about this before, and it's not going to be the last time I speak about it, finds the space between myself and the people in front of me, chooses to stand there. I'm like, all right, sick spot to stand, man. I can't see anything now, but sure, you do you. Stands there, farts, and walks off. If you're going to, all right, a few things here. What is it about me that made this guy look at me and go, you know what, I'm going to stand there, fart on this chick, and walk off? And I know people hear this like, oh, Jacinta, he didn't fart on you, just farted in your vicinity. If you commit to standing in front of me with fewer than a 30 centimeter distance between your ass and my front, you have essentially farted on me. And he know what he did because he bailed. He was the source of the smell. Instead of committing to the crime that he committed, he walked off. He bailed. And I was there having to sit in this stink bomb, this grenade that he left me, and pretend like nothing happened. Then new people are coming, looking at me like I am the fart source. Man, it's funny enough, not funny at all, but ironically, me talk about Faster Pussycat. Did you hear what happened on the boat? I'm sure this has turned into a bit of a music podcast, hey, hasn't it? Maybe that's my niche. Maybe I'm just the chick who talks about music sometimes and makes it funny. Whew. Did you hear the news about the Faster? Most of you would have no idea what I'm talking about. Probably about 2 listeners here will know what I'm saying. Faster Pussycat is a band from the 80s. I mean, listen to the name Faster Pussycat. Okay. All right. All these 80s bands with their names, man. A band from the 80s. When I think of the 80s, there's like tiers of bands in terms of success. Like you've got Def Leppard and Guns N' Roses and White Snake and Europe. I know some of these bands start in the 70s or more 90s or whatever, but people associate the sound with the 80s. You have those bands which are like top tier 80s bands. Then you've got like the next lot of bands that just kind of didn't push their way to the top. And Faster Pussycat is one of those bands. that somehow we're always like, everyone talks about this 80s venue, the Cat House. And I admit, I would have been there if I was alive then. And Faster Pussycat is one of like those cat house bands. And I remember when I saw this band at the said gig that I got farted on, I remember one of my friends, he was like so pumped to see this band, chucked them on in the car. He goes, oh man, I love this band. This is a band I loved when I was a teenager. Chucked them on. He goes, oh, this is how it sounds. Faster Pussycat, it does sound like a cat screeching to a degree. So the name, quite fitting. They've got about 2 songs that I don't mind that I guess I'll listen to. I remember my friend's just like, oh, this isn't how I imagined it. I remember it at all. It's funny when you grow up and then you just hear things that you used to like. You're like, man, I'm not into this 80s screeching. Why have I got a padlock around my neck? That's probably the moment, that crossover moment is when all the dudes started cutting off their padlock necklaces. And I remember the singer just out of the blue, like kind of bloated. Oh man, I feel bad because I think there's people who listen to this that know him. And I'm here ripping into this guy after the week that he's had. Oh, well, it's not defamation because this is what he said. I swear he licked his fingers and just goes, who likes to eat pussy? And I was like, man, get me out of here. I've been farted on. I feel like I'm being sexually abused in a way. This ain't it at all. The one time I mentioned Faster Pussycat on this podcast happens to be the week that there was the big 80s cruise overseas. I don't know whereabouts it was or I can't even remember the cruise name, but it happened. And something happened upon the cruise where the fiance of Faster Pussycat singer fell off the cruise and unfortunately her body was not recovered, so she has been marked as dead, RIP. That is shocking for everyone involved, for her family, for the others on the cruise, for her fiance from Faster Pussycat. And I feel a lot of sympathy for the dude and for everyone involved. But unfortunately, I'm always going to associate him with the gig that I got farted on. What else have I got here? Any other questions? How's this for a very last-minute episode? It's kind of not bad, eh? Blokes being shite in podcasts. I can't really say because I've had lovely dudes, well, only 2 so far, be in my podcast and it's been fine. And I listen to Joe Rogan, so I'm not going to whinge about him. People love whinging about Joe Rogan, eh? It's like anything successful, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to hate on him. He's cool. What's your issue with Joe Rogan, man? All right, you know what? I'm going to wrap this up. I wasn't planning to record an episode this week, but I think it went all right. A lot of 80s tangents. Liked the questions. 33 minutes. Let's rein it in. Have a good week, guys. Hopefully, if technology wants to be friendly with the person I have hired to help me with my guest episode, I will have a guest episode with you next week. I'm also going back into the studio to record with 2 more guests. One will be talking about comedy and punk music. The other one is he's just an Italian kid. I don't know what his deal is. I always see, every video I see of him, he's either sweating above the lip, dancing or making coffees. I was like, man, there's something about this guy and I need to talk to him. So that's what's coming up for the next episodes of the All Sweet podcast. I'm Jacinta Jaye. You guys are lovely. Thanks so much.